As I was leaving the sweaty armpit of Bishop, California, I was reaffirmed in my decision the night before to put as much of that desert behind me as I possibly could. The temperatures first thing out were well over 100 degrees, and the heat was simply unbearable.
Alright, you guys ready for this? I am so freaking hot right now. It is over 100 degrees and I am baking. It's amazing. So another guy on a touring bike gave me a little tip because I was kind of running into this issue. And he said this works. We're gonna give it a try. He said to just pour water on your sleeves. It's supposed to. The saving grace, however, is heading up. Should be getting cooler anyway. So there we go.
Now, I'm quite familiar with the academic principle of evaporation and convection, but I would have never thought that this would make such a huge difference. The moment I started moving, my arms felt like they were just put into buckets of ice. The difference was unbelievable, and that is a huge pro tip when riding through hot areas. I'd been to Lake Tahoe a bunch of times in the past, but mostly in the winter time to go skiing. The Emerald Bay Road going around the west side of the lake was unexpectedly awesome. I highly recommend it. As I continued into the mountains, the towns became just dots on the map, with a few huddles of houses. There wasn't really much chance for a hotel room, but what I was seeing were campsites literally every couple of miles. It was veritable camper's paradise. Up through this point, I had carried with me a sleeping bag and a hammock, but haven't used them yet, and I decided that this was the right day to do it. But having stopped and turned around a few times to do some filming and photography, I wanted to put some miles behind me and seemed to have somehow exited the zone where all of the campsites were at. As the sun started to go down, I didn't see a single campsite for over an hour, whereas before they were coming up literally every 2 to 3 minutes. It was literally pitch black by the time I saw the sign to the Spanish Creek campground and ventured my way down there, trying not to make too much noise. I saw a group of campers who were still up and around their campfire, but as I approached, noise became the least of my concerns. A freight train going by on the nearby track must have been going around a tight bend, and the noise it was making was just absolutely unreal. You guys have to hear this.
Jesus Christ, is that a fucking train? Yeah, I veto this plan. Rattlesnakes will be shot on sight. Need 2 friendly trees, roughly 8 or 9 feet apart. I think this is going to be it right here. Yeah. So I've owned a number of hammocks over the years, and I like this one a lot because the system for it is pretty dang simple. Actually, let me do this. The S hooks. So when they attach to these ropes that are built in, and then you just hang it.
After setting up my hammock, I went back to return the lantern which was brought to me, and I was invited to stick around for the fire. No matter how much this happens when I travel, I seem to be constantly caught off guard by people's genuine friendliness, especially when I travel alone.
Alright, we got all that. Okay, cell battery. Hooray! That's my hammock. Throw a sleeping bag in there. Bob's your uncle.
I've lived in the Seattle area going on 22 years now, A difference in the way that people interact with one another is drastically different from what I have experienced on my travels. I don't know why, but things like this just do not happen around Western Washington. The Seattle freeze is absolutely real, and if you think that you can explain this to me, please feel free to reach out via instant messenger because I'd love to hear your ideas as to why this is happening. But I have to say that one of the hardest things for me on these travels is the fact that while I'm surrounded by an ocean of people, at times I feel utterly alone. And interactions like this, although casual, make a world of difference. We stayed up for a little while chatting about our various travels, my road trip, and night photography. The girls were a committed couple out on the camping trip with their 20-year-old friend who was too shy to let me take her photo. I enjoyed chatting with them around the fire and getting the opportunity to use my hatchet for the first and only time during this entire trip.